So get ready. I'm going to introduce to you today one of the most fabulous people that I've privileged to know in my life, Garrett Fromme. He owns a business, a company called IDC Woodcraft. He has an amazing YouTube channel, and there's something about this story that you need to hear. It's not just about spirituality or a triumphant business story. It's really a life story that's ongoing that you need to hear about. It's what I teach, it's what he teaches every day, and along with what we're doing comes prosperity, a balance in your life you probably couldn't even imagine that you could live out, and of course a lot of challenges along the way. Garrett and I have known each other for many years through joining a program to learn how to create online businesses. So without hesitation, let's start our podcast with Garrett Fromme. Welcome to Landria Anka on YouTube. Today I interview Garrett Fromme, a dear friend of mine, and a millionaire. Yep, a millionaire who has a really amazing story that's going to inspire you maybe to do something fabulous in your life also. So before we begin, I want to remind you to please subscribe. You're going to spend some time with me today, and down in the description I'm going to have all the information that you need if you're interested in visiting his channel, getting involved in what he teaches, and also my online training, digitalexplorers.net, which we're going to talk about because you need to live a life of passion, purpose, positive impact, and from that, prosperity comes. Let's get started.
There we go. You got me?
I am so excited to do this.
Yeah. Let's get this moved over to the right screen.
The timing was right, and I always talk about you, and I thought I've got to get you on an interview because your story is amazing, and we have to catch up also.
I know, I know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're aware, I launched a business called Digital Explorers.
Yeah, you sent me the link to that.
That's why I wanted to talk to you because, you are a shining example of what I teach that works, and
Mm-hmm.
you're living it, and after all we've been through with our training and the things that we've done and learned, which has been so valuable,
Yeah.
and some of it painful, but we have learned where we need to be and what does work. And I really wanted to spend time and just go through that and share it with you. You can post it anywhere. It's going to go on all my channels because I think this is relevant for my main channel also, and that's like we're always separating business and spirituality, and they just really that's couldn't be further from the truth. It's one thing, and if you're not living it in every area, right?
Exactly.
Every area of
Exactly.
your life, it doesn't work. It's in conflict. And so I would just love to find out what you're doing and where you are, where you want to go, how I can help you also. And I would like us to start collaborating more with
Yeah.
with our businesses. And this is obviously going to be sent out to people who may be very interested in watching your channel and maybe doing some of the woodworking and things that you're teaching. That's so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing for me is I want to showcase people who are going to introduce new amazing ways for them to find that passion that
Yeah.
they didn't even know existed. I mean, this was something like I was like, "You're doing what?"
Yeah. What?
Yeah, what? I'm like, "Okay, did you just learn this? Like, where did this come from?" So, but right now, I would like to just open it up to you and just have you share your journey to where you are. And then I want you to explain where you are because it's pretty damn impressive.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So everyone, welcome to my channel, wherever you're seeing this, whether it's by Digital Explorers or my spiritual channel. I'm with one of my dear friends, Garrett Fromme, And I am absolutely so excited to interview him. We've known each other for many years
Mhm.
and gone through really the online business journey that so many people have, seeking something and finding out what it's really about, and then finding out what's really important, and then having that work. And unfortunately, Garrett, as you know, we are a small percentage out there that knows that formula because people want to shortcut it. They think
Mhm.
there's another way. And it's usually I'm going to go get money. That will make me happy so I can start living my life, whether it's a spiritual life or whatever. Our audiences are highly just, let's say, planet conscious spiritual people. They
Yes.
care. So I would love for you to just, however way you want to share your story, your journey to where you got now, like back when you started, well, actually before that. Let
Okay.
you do your thing.
Okay. Well, to set the stage at this point, I have a multi-million dollar business, and I'm 62 years old at the moment. And so with that, I started off, well, we'll go back to the whole spiritual awakening part that led me into there's a purpose inside and I've got to do something with it, right? And that was after I lost my wife, my best friend, my mom, all in a course of about a year and a half. And that really woke me up to what am I doing in my life?
Yeah.
And so there was this 7 year journey of of wait a minute, have I done the things I wanted to do? And so I just said, nope, there was that sudden wake up call that someday I'll be on a deathbed. Am I going to regret something? And at that moment, I said, there are not going to be any regrets. Absolute. I swore to myself I would not have a regret on my deathbed. And so I spent 7 years being selfish, giving to me that I never did for the first 50. And then from there, once all that was out of my system, ran into a point of I've done everything that
Mhm.
I wanted to do for me. What's important now? And I couldn't find it. I couldn't find that thing. And what that did was it started to send me on a search of searching for what that was. And it led me into then this is about the point I met you when we were both on this journey of learning about online business. You were already into it. We made friends and you actually guided me along the way on this. And and then Landry, I got to a point, I don't know if you know this, when I was on this discovery, I couldn't find that thing that was my purpose. And I got to a point, I was very, a really dark place, really dark place. And it was a Friday night. It was in the spring of 2018, I think. And it was a nice day. I remember that, nice evening. And I pulled my pistol out of my closet
Oh,
and I loaded it and I put it against my head.
yeah.
And at that moment, I knew I had a decision, right? But it wasn't, it was like, why am I even here? But I just didn't really care. I
Yeah.
couldn't find that thing for me. And the only thought that came to me was, I've got a daughter. What legacy am I going to leave for her? And then I just realized she would have all these unanswered questions about why dad took his life. And I said, I don't care about me, but I care enough about her. I put that down. I said, I will never be in this place again. And it was that moment I made that promise myself. And so from there, it was like just a mission. I will not be in this place again. So I spent the up until now always staying away from that place. And the only way, as you know, the only way we can stay away from that place is by continuing to grow
Yeah.
spiritually and continuing, yep,
Get
and
on me. Yeah.
yeah, and continuing to seek out the purpose, even if we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Now, I hope you don't mind if I share this little
You can
story.
share anything. This is,
Yeah.
I'm totally transparent.
Yeah. After that moment with the pistol, um, I realized as an engineer at that time, I was working for 9 to 5 and um, I said, this isn't me anymore, but I don't know who me is. And so I decided to burn the ship. I quit the job, packed up the house that I had, But every
I remember the pictures you sent me. I
Yep.
said, are you sure you should be doing this?
Literally, I gave
Yeah,
up everything. I had no
yeah,
place to live other than in my car, took my trailer to my brother's out in Pennsylvania, and I just toured the country. But when I was getting ready to take this little tour of the country, it's like I had already traveled, as you know. I did a bunch of traveling in that 10 years of not having any regrets. And so I wanted to go back out west again, but I didn't know where to go because I'd already been everywhere.
right.
And so I was sitting at my desk the last week of work where once I quit that job, I was never going back to a 9 to 5 again, ever, ever. That was I became psychologically unemployable. Um,
Yeah.
but I had this idea that popped in my head as I'm staring at my computer at work of a cactus, like you see on Roadrunner, the little,
Oh, I know the cactus story.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, tell the cactus story.
Yeah,
That,
the cactus story is so relevant, I think, to everybody if they get this. Right. So it's this silly little cartoon image that popped in my head out of nowhere. And I'm going, that's the stupidest thought on the planet. What the heck is going on in my brain? And I
yeah.
was like, oh, get out of here. And I just went on doing what I was doing at work. Well, the next week when I was done with work and packing up my house and still didn't know where I was going to go westward. But just going to spend time doing whatever I wanted, however long I wanted to do it. And as I'm taking a break during packing, I'm sitting at my kitchen table and thinking, where am I going to go out west? Then that cactus came to mind again. And it was like someone took a megaphone to me. They said, go to Arizona to see a cactus.
But then it showed up physically in other things. You were sending me pictures going, this is showing up. What was it like? Some little like was on a mug or something like or it was in just it kept showing up and I said, okay, this is freaky. Somebody's talking
Yeah.
to you. But
It
we
was
know who
cactus
it's connected,
everywhere. So
but
I
we know
couldn't
who
even
it's
remember what I
connected.
said.
It was connected to somebody.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it was connected to a lot of things. So this vision could not have come to me if I wasn't willing to jump off the diving board
Yeah,
when I couldn't see water in the swimming pool,
yeah,
when there was no water in the swimming pool. And as from where I could see my future at that point,
yeah,
there was no water in the swimming pool, and I was taking the jump off the diving board.
yeah,
Um, and I didn't know that water was going to be filling up in the swimming pool on the way down.
yeah.
Um, so this whole journey to go drive to see a cactus took 5 months. And all I did was I trusted myself. And every day I had no plan. Just every day I said, where am I going today? And it came to me. And so I went all these different places. It was such a heart journey because every place held some kind of relevance to something I was holding on to in my past that I had to forgive. I cried a lot. And
Yeah.
every day I wanted to run back to if I wish I could give everybody the feeling I had, but finally I got to this cactus 5 months later, Saguaro National Park in Arizona. It's the same kind of cactus.
Hmm.
And I'm standing out in the middle of this field of thousands and thousands of these beautiful, majestic 300-year-old cactus.
Yeah,
And it hit me at that moment was just follow the vision and you will be rewarded thousands and thousands of times over.
yeah,
So the deal was, I didn't know what the vision was, but I was on the journey to discover what my vision, and that was the universe saying, just, this was the awakening. You got the idea in your head of something simple, and if you follow through with it and don't give up despite how scared you are,
yeah,
that your reward is going to be insanely beyond what you would ever imagine.
yeah,
And that was the whole moral of this, that what the universe sent me the cactus to learn was don't give up on this journey of discovering your purpose. At that point, I didn't know what my purpose was yet,
exactly.
right? But that was the sign to never give up. Don't ever go back to that job. You don't belong at work anymore. You will discover it. And it took another year, but I finally found it.
Yeah. And the thing too is one thing I remember when we went through, and by the way, I wish I had it here. Maybe I'll dig it out. I found a thank you note you sent me. you sent a wooden feather that you had,
Yes.
which is weird because that was my sign.
Uh-huh.
And I kept finding, I don't even see them ever. And I would find a feather, constantly finding feathers. I actually have a little jar of them and I'd pick them up. And you didn't know that. And you sent me a little plaque with a beautiful, and I'll show it here. I'll show it on B-roll.
Okay.
And also there was a thank you in there, like really being a part of that journey and believing in you and trusting, you know, uh, everything that was happening and unfolding. And it was like I was like, wow, I just found this. That was one of the reasons I said I've got to get you on here. Um, but you went through the transition of really you had the vision of the things. I remember the cabin and the vehicle, you know, and the vision boards. And we do a lot of this, of course, in our manifestation and that. And it came down to something so much greater than that. And when you stopped looking at the actual money, because I can remember at one point it was about the money. It was about the money because it's like, okay, if I have the money, I can achieve these things in my life that are beautiful. That even though you're a very spiritual person, we still start with that because we think that if we don't have that, you know, we can't get to that other place. And you had that epiphany and you went into like an awakened state. I can remember you went into this peaceful state and totally let go of that. And then all of a sudden you went from the affiliate marketing, which, you know, I've done very well in, but same thing, changed my direction completely. We're
Mhm.
thankful for that, right? That was amazing. What we've learned and what we did there was fabulous. But there comes a point when you realize that's not who and what I am. That's not a purpose. That's
Right.
not right.
That's a
And
skill.
that's a skill. And boy, do we have them. I don't know many
Yes, yes.
people have our skills, and which is a problem out there online. And
Unfortunately.
so there was a turning point when what brought you to the woodworking and what I was like, what? And I went on your channel. And by the way, I'm signed up for your email list. I went, holy crap, this is amazing. I've watched your videos. You have guest speakers. And I remember you contacted me when you had reviewed one of the products for one of the companies, and you said the CEO was not happy with you. And you said, what should I say? I said, no, like, you know, tell him, you know, you can collaborate with them, that your information to your audience was valuable. You're not the enemy. And you started to develop these relationships out there that were so powerful. But what brought you to the, what is it, IDC? Is it the woodworking? How
Yes.
did you get there?
Yeah, the name of the company is IDC Woodcraft.
Yeah,
And so just to create that foundation, I educate people on YouTube uh, how to carve on wood using what they call a CNC machine. It's a computer-driven wood carving machine. It's kind of like a 3D printer, but it's got carving tools on the end of
yeah,
it. And but here I do want to say what I learned, realized that what I sell, I teach.
yeah,
We'll get back to that one.
yeah,
But what I actually deliver, not what I sell, but what I deliver is self-worth.
yeah.
I help people find self-worth. And that's huge, huge, huge. So
Let's, I just want you to elaborate a little bit on it. When you say self-worth, how are you doing that? I mean, it's really sort of a hobby, or for some people it is a living, but how are you doing that? You're not
well,
just showing people how to do, you know, wood carving, right?
yeah, no, so the first was I had to go, we all have to go through that hard journey. We have to
Yeah,
go to that hard journey of looking in the mirror and pulling the smoke away and saying, I don't necessarily like the person I'm looking at in the mirror. I'm, you know,
yeah,
and we have to pull that ego away. And then there's that really painful journey of self-discovery and realizing that I have to start changing, but I don't know how to change, and that's why we have to go out and find mentors like people like you that have been helping me for a long time,
yeah.
and and being open and receptive to what is coming to us, and realizing this is the spiritual, the real spiritual awakening for me is realizing that how do I put this? That we truly do create our environment.
Yeah.
and in our world. And the results that are in our life right now that we don't like are because of the past. And that means if we are acting like that now, we are creating our future right now.
Yep.
So if I am worried about money right now, guess what I'm going to have in the future?
Yes.
Not enough money. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So going back to the question you asked, the this whole searching, what do I need? What do I want? What's my purpose? It was all about me.
Yeah.
And that was the problem.
Yeah.
When I finally said, I'm done trying to figure all this out,
Yeah.
um, is when the universe opened its doors to me.
Yeah.
Literally, I sat down, and I cried and I cried and I wrote down, I let go, I'm done. I'm just finished working so hard
Yeah.
trying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from that moment, um, I wasn't even in woodworking at that point. All
Right.
right. And I just started thinking of the word wealth. It just came to my head, wealth. And it wasn't really about money. It was just wealth. The
Yeah.
wealth is abundance, right? And I got it right here. I went to Michael's craft store, and I you remember this, don't
I
you?
remember this.
Yeah, I bought these letters and I mounted it on the board, and I thought these are really made like very low quality. Everything's out of scale and just cheap manufacturing. And I said I can make these better than that. And so I started to research and came across the CNC routers. And then I had CNC experience. But what I realized in this is, well, I bought a machine to try to make them. Maybe I could mount a bunch of words on boards and sell them. And I realized that I had a skill already because I'd been in this type of environment
Yeah.
before. So I just started shooting YouTube videos.
You know,
And
the interesting part is when you started to do, because I remember seeing you with, remember the background with all the fake dollar bills,
oh
right?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
was like, dear God, get rid of that, you know?
yeah,
And but it was sort of like your vision board, but you were in a different frame of mind then. When you did that, you completely had shifted your frame of mind. So there was nothing wrong with the wealth or the money thoughts. It was where you were about the money that shifted everything. So
yeah,
I always hope they think that, it's wrong to think wealth or money. It's like, no, how powerful, it's how you earn it and how you spend it determines the frequency of that money,
yes, yeah,
and the quality and the value of it. So you had started with the actual wealth sign. So you bought the equipment, and
uh-huh.
what happened from there?
Well, I just started shooting. It was kind of funny. At that point, I was living with my brother in Pennsylvania. I moved into this apartment, complete bachelor pad. I mean, very scant furniture. All this. I mean, I'm so embarrassed to even talk about that. But the living room on my kitchen table was this little machine that I purchased, and my tools were on the windowsills. So the whole business started in a living room with no furniture in it. And I just started shooting videos to say, oh, I'll just shoot a video about this. I'll shoot a video about that. I didn't even know there was a market out there for this. And and as I'm trying to figure this out, now here's what started happening with all this journey with me and the guidance from you and other people that I've talked to.
Yeah.
I learned to look at the problems that people were having and pay
Yes.
attention to the problems I was having and said, let me solve their problem,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I could feel their problem because I was having the same problems as I'm getting into this woodworking machine journey. And once I zeroed in, I'm not sure, it was an awareness of what the world is experiencing as opposed to what I wanted to get out of the world. And so, yeah. And so as I started to, that was an awareness so I could see all the problems people were having. And so I just started shooting content on that. I said, wow, he's
And
got
so when you say content, this was all on YouTube. You had your own
all
channel.
YouTube, just YouTube. Yeah.
Yep, just YouTube, and you said channel. Nobody's really coming there. And I'm thinking, well, like, and and one of the things I teach is people don't understand the power of a niche market. It's not about volume or right. How,
Yeah.
especially a niche market, because if I can't find it anywhere and you're the guy teaching this, I'm going to go to you. And if you do it better than the other niche market people, wow. And you were such a demonstration of that because I was like so impressed when I went, holy cow, he's such a natural. You've always been a natural on camera. And and I saw the difference with the videos on your channel as opposed to trying to sell things or
Mhm.
right before it was like this is what you do, you loved it, it flowed, you talked to people, and there was just a natural ability to really connect to people, and I saw that with what you
Yeah,
were doing.
yeah.
So you start doing this. So then there was the business thing that happened along the way of like, how do you make money
That
doing
was a
this?
total accident too.
Yes. Tell us
So
about that.
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of funny because at this point we're a year out after maybe a year and a half after I quit work, and
Yeah.
I had committed myself so much to finding my purpose, never going back to work, that I was willing to go through my entire uh, every penny I had, including retirement.
Yeah.
I was down to $25,000. That's it. That's it. I could not pull money from any other source at that
Yeah.
point. I had tapped into most of retirement, and I found one of the main problems that people were having, that I was having, and I said, well, let's just see. At this point, I probably have about 2,000 subscribers. Right, I'm four
Right.
months into my YouTube channel, and said, well, let's just invest some money. So I bought $5,000 worth of stuff at wholesale,
Uh-huh.
and and built a little website, and just talked about it on the channel. And then I told people on the channel. Right at this point, I had added enough value to enough people that they wanted to buy from me.
Yeah.
And this was the thing, I think. But well, that was the start, and I made $5,000 that day. Right, I remember sharing that with.
Outstanding. That
Yeah,
was outstanding. It's
day
like,
one made
wow.
five
Yeah.
thousand dollars.
Now, how did you make that? That was that through affiliate sales?
No, that for me, that was direct sales. That was
Okay, direct sales. So you were buying inventory and selling
yes,
it.
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then along the way, then as things grew, I started getting affiliate. I got an Amazon associate account where anybody can get that has an Amazon account, and you just
Yeah.
give an affiliate commission from there, or affiliate link from there.
Right.
But then as the channel grew, of course, I'm making more and more contacts, and uh, trusting this, just keep moving forward, and eventually the right contact comes along, and before you know it, as the channel grows, the so does the interest in you.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're an
at this,
influencer. And
yeah,
when you
yeah,
speak as an authority, even if it's a smaller audience, that can make or break businesses out there who supply that all that equipment and machinery that's making these beautiful items. And so when Garrett speaks, they want to make sure that they're the manufacturer that you're talking about. And so
yeah,
therein lies that power that people don't realize. It's the influencer creator part wields so much power, and your audience trusted you that you were always going to try out these things yourself
yeah.
and recommend the best stuff, and that's when you started to grow. The business side of things started to become,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But it always comes back to that theme of, it's not about me. It's
right,
about them. And if they're asking questions, help them. And the more, it's the hardest thing it was to wrap your head around. But once you realize it, the more you give, the more you
yes,
get. It's
yes,
it's amazing. The more you give, the receiving increases in magnitude. But I had to get over a lot of that stuff that a lot of people have to get over.
yeah.
Of, oh, I don't look so good on camera. Oh, now I'm 62 years old.
Oh
I got
yeah,
these wrinkles. People are going to think I'm, um, and it's we're so into ourselves
yeah,
that we don't see the potential that we have to
right,
give. And people aren't worried about how we look. They're worried about how they feel
yeah,
and how they can grow, what they can get away from and get
yeah,
into, the
yeah.
and and that's tough. That's tough to get out of because it's so embedded in us, this ego of about
Ego
me.
driven. Yeah. And I, as a coach for a multi-million dollar business, I have to tell people, I say, please, I'm saying this out of kindness, get out of your own ego. It's not about you. All right. Nobody cares what you look like. And they're like taken aback that I'm insinuating that it's their ego. And I said, it's when you're worried about yourself all the time first, it's always your ego. It's
Yes.
like you said, what am I offering my audience? What am I giving them? And if I place that first, they don't care if I'm wearing a clown hat and a nose. In fact, that'd probably be funnier if I did that.
Well,
Yeah,
that a little attention grabbers grab it. The other
yeah,
thing is I'm not afraid to tell my story. I became
yeah.
unafraid of my